Hello there, how's it going? It's What the Flick. I am Christy Lemire. That is Matt Atchity still. So, Scarface, a quotable movie, a movie we've all seen, but have we seen it recently?
No, but every time I introduce you to someone, I say hello to my little friend.
That is sad and it's too easy. Even my kid though, remember there used to be those Pepsi ads at Hollywood and Highland, and it was like a hand holding out an itty bitty little Pepsi can.
Oh,
and it
yeah.
says, say hello to my little friend. So even my kid knows that, but does not know what it's from. So
And hopefully it's gonna be a while before he knows.
yeah, I mean, I'm not that bad of a mom. So 35 years ago, Scarface came out, and there's gonna be a re-release in a few cities, including New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and Philadelphia. And you too can revisit the glory of this bombastic and endlessly cheesy Brian De Palma extravaganza. And I have not seen this movie in a while. And I think people look back on this with great fondness. Maybe they took it seriously when they were younger. Maybe they always knew that it was over the top and kind of reveled in it. I mean, just that bathtub alone.
Right.
They played Scarface at the Tribeca Film Festival this past year. And there was a Q&A afterward with Pacino and Michelle Pfeiffer and Brian De Palma. And the first question that the moderator asked her was about how skinny she was.
Ooh. Oh, right, I heard about that.
And she's like, well, I'm playing a cocaine addict, so, but then there was like a massive backlash to that. But Scarface is a movie that I think people either love or hate. And it inspired you to pose a question on Twitter yesterday, and you got massive responses to it.
Right, well, and before we get into that,
Yeah,
that's one of those movies, especially in the 90s, like you see every hip hop star, or not every, but a ton of them, like that's one of the examples that they use as like, this is how tough I am, this is how successful and how rich I am.
Right.
And you almost want to say like, you guys know how that
Right.
ends,
It didn't turn out that well for Tony Montana.
Yeah, and it's, it is one of the more bombastic De Palma movies. I remember seeing it and thinking, okay, I get what's going on here. I saw it on the small screen, not the big screen. You do wonder how much it translates when you see it in a big theater full of people on a big screen and a loud sound system.
That energy.
That energy, right?
Yeah, I think I've only seen it at home as well, and it's been about 10 years or so.
Yeah, but I think it hasn't really aged well, and that's one of those ones that people are like, yeah, that's not so much. So yeah, I did I did ask about this and got some fun responses. A lot of people responded, especially.
What was your question though?
Well, so the question was, what movie do you think is wildly overrated?
Okay.
Right? Now, me personally, there's a couple that come to mind for me. Me personally, one of the ones that I always use, Tree of Life.
Wow.
I hate that movie. In fact, at Rotten Tomatoes, the team knows how much I hate that movie because I would rant about it all the time. That now that there is an announcement that an expanded director's cut is coming to Blu-ray. Both Gray Drake and Tim Ryan, who both still work at Rotten Tomatoes, both separately texted me with the news. Hey, here's what we're getting you for Christmas.
You're not going to run out to see the extended Cosmos sequence?
No, I don't think so.
Why do you hate Tree of Life real fast?
Because I just think it's masturbatory. Like I just think it's a wreck. I just think it's like he's doing something there that, I just want to do this stream of consciousness. Okay, sure, you can do that in 10 minutes. Like you can give me a stream of consciousness about somebody going through the memories of their childhood, but I don't need that for 3 hours. Okay. And I don't need the diversion into space and dinosaurs.
And yet, did we not all have a lovely conversation about the beauty of 2001 2 days ago? And I would argue the Tree of Life owes a great debt to 2001 in terms of the amount of time it tries to traverse and juxtapose.
Sure.
I'm gonna go with that. I love Tree of Life. I think it's beautiful and mesmerizing, and it changed my mood for a long time afterward, and that is quite often a criterion for me as far as whether a film is effective.
Okay.
I like Tree of Life. What is your other one?
Well, do you have any that are
I do. So for me, The Artist is wildly overrated.
Okay.
Michelle Hazanavicius is a very talented mimic. He's really good at recreating a look and a feel and a time, down to the slightest detail. But is that, no pun intended, is that artistry in itself? So did it deserve to win Best Picture? I think it's a thing where a lot of the Academy voters at that point were older and viewed it as a lovely remembrance of bygone times. My other one is Synecdoche, New York, which I will
Okay.
admit I did not entirely get the first time, and I really wanted to because people I really respect really loved it, including Roger Ebert really loved it, and it spoke to him at a time in his life when he related to it, and he showed it at Ebert Fest one year. So I went back and I watched it when I went to Ebert Fest, like on a big screen in a beautiful historic theater. And, you know, I still find it kind of baffling, like from the whole point where the house is on fire on. That's it.
Okay. My other one is, and I know that there's a lot of people who greatly disagree with me, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive.
Okay. That requires more than one viewing, though.
And every time I see it, I hate it more.
So
Every
you've seen
time.
it more than one time.
I've seen
Okay,
it 3
all
or 4
right,
times
okay.
thinking, okay, surely I've missed something. Nope, I can't. It just doesn't work. I'm not a big fan of a movie that completely pulls the rug out. I never like that.
Okay.
It's, you know, typically, because it's really typically very poorly executed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you'll get in the last 10 minutes like, oh, everything you just sat through for the last 2.5 hours, none of this happened. That really bothers me. This movie does that in kind of the worst way possible. Yeah, look, I'm okay with movies not having to make sense and being kind of dreamlike and not necessarily having a specific narrative that you have to follow. And there's other stuff from Lynch that I think is really good. This one, though,
I found it frustrating the first time I saw it, and I found it to be almost like a parody of David Lynch in some ways. And then I went into it the second time with a bit of a theory about what all was going on, and I felt better about myself afterward.
Yeah, but even with
And I like it now, I do.
But even with the theory, I think, you know, the general theory about, you know, is it taking place in like, I suspect I know the same theory. There's still scenes in there that don't really make sense in that. Like the restaurant scene where the guy's talking to his, you know, or he's having that discussion about what he's afraid of. And it's just like, there's whole scenes in that movie. It's like, where'd this come from?
But you can't expect things to always make sense in a David Lynch film in order to give yourself over to them, I would argue. Like, Inland Empire is like 3 hours of people walking down dark hallways and wearing bunny heads. So you know what you're getting in for with David Lynch sometimes. But what are some of the answers that you got to the overrated question on Twitter? Because some of them, I think y'all are trolling us.
Yeah, so 2001 definitely came up. That came up from Kit Bowen, among other people, who is in the space that we're at. It's a little like Kit, come on. Tide Dermody says Boyhood, wildly overrated. I don't know that I disagree with that. I'm kind of on board with that.
Because it's long?
I get from a standpoint of taking years to tell a movie, like the achievement of that, great. Does it really, like, partly I think because I don't like the kid.
That could be a problem.
That could be a
You don't like the
problem.
boy of Boyhood. But again, like we're talking about overrated, it's a matter of expectations. And I feel like a lot of times a movie will play at a festival in a smaller audience, and then the hype builds and builds and builds, and then by the time it reaches the outside world, it's like, what are you talking about?
Right. Another one that came up, Grand Budapest Hotel.
Okay.
I totally disagree with that one
Yeah.
because I actually really like
fun,
that one.
yeah.
Barack McBush, who actually is now calling himself Kanye Trump on Twitter,
Okay.
tells us Lost in Translation.
Again, a movie that is slow and quiet and intimate. Yeah.
One that I get where Johnny Pompey is coming from, he says Baby Driver, because Baby Driver is
it was
merely an
hyped.
exercise in cutting really well to music and less about the story. Okay.
It was nominated for an Oscar for its editing.
And then two more that these people are totally wrong. Godfather and Princess Bride, they're wrong. And then one that I added because I know it'll upset you. Somebody says Phantom Thread, wildly overrated.
Again, slow, and it takes its time, and it rewards you for your patience. So if you want instant gratification, no, movies like 2001 and Tree of Life are not going to do it.